How's it? Happy Aloha Wednesday. Thank you for joining us here. And it is 12:30 Hawaiian Standard Time. Thank you very much for joining us, not only here, but also on the YouTube channel as well. We are excited on our show today, Two Scoops, to have with us a special guest. So before we get into that, though, each month, AAF Hawaii's Two Scoop series will spotlight a different industry leader who will share life and career experiences, as well as advice and takeaways that are learned along the way. To simplify things, the chat will be moderated. We encourage you to submit any questions that you have in the chat for Q&A following the session. The moderators will be able to see it, but more importantly, I'll be able to see it so we can get those questions asked by our guest. Our guest today is an internationally recognized mural artist and the co-founder and executive director of the Estria Foundation, or TEF, a nonprofit organization. He's partnered with over 200 schools and community organizations. His programs mesh Hawaiian culture, meditation, and muralism to transform spaces, deepen people's spiritual and physical connections to a place, and strengthen their visual storytelling of critical cultural stories, perspectives, values, and struggles. As a respected teacher to young artists, his programs have served approximately 10,000 students. Estria launched Mele Murals, an inter-island mural program that serves predominantly Pacific Islander youth in Title I schools. He began painting in Hawaii in 1984, has more than nearly 1,000 murals worldwide. His clients include President Clinton, Vodafone, Gansenwurt Hotel, Oakland Museum of California, Toyota, MTV, McDonald's, Sega, Levi's, McKesson, Nokia, and the Mills Corporation. We welcome to the show the one and only Estria Miyashiro. Yay! Yay! Thank you for joining us, sir.
Oh, thank you for that introduction. I feel so
Thank you. Hey, let's jump right into this here. Share a bit about your artistic journey. What led you to specialize in mural art on an international scale?
Well, I got my start hopping the fence and painting the canal with my breakdancer friends back in the days. And then I fell in love with it. So I kept going with it. I went to art college in San Francisco, University of San Francisco. And I started to get the jobs in order to pay for the college while I was still in college. And that was how I got my start. I don't think I had any intentions to paint internationally. I just got opportunities along the way, which I'm very grateful for. Yeah.
Let's talk about balancing, artistry with a leadership role in a nonprofit that's kind of unique. How do you navigate between the two roles? Do you find synergy between your art and the nonprofit work?
Yeah, no, not at all. I don't see the synergy. I think that's like you have a logical side to you and a creative side to you, and you have to find balance. Anyone that goes into a creative field has to get their business side down. They've got to understand the legal things, the financial things, right? It all has to make sense for them. And those aren't things that I saw being taught in college when I went there. And then I think that like my uncle, he's a financial planner, but he in his spare time loves to play the drums, even will play with bands and things. So he has to have an outlet to have fun.
So when did you actually think about the business portion of this and how to, go down that road and make sure that that's taken care of so you can do what you enjoy?
I think it was getting burned and ripped off over and over and over, learning like, oh, dust my butt off. Not going to do that again. Next time I'm going to, hire a lawyer, get a better contract, whatever it is. Yeah.
Your murals often convey powerful messages. Can you highlight a particular mural project that holds significant meaning to you and elaborate on the message behind it? And if there's ever any time or anything you'd like to show, we'd like to encourage you. You can share and by all means show whatever you'd like on the show today.
Awesome. Thank you, Bailey. One of my favorite murals is Butt Ugly, and I don't have a photo of it. And it's I don't know how long ago. It was in the Mission District in San Francisco with Priscilla Ice, muralist. And we were going to restore a faded portrait of Martin Luther King Jr. But being that we had a bunch of graffiti kids under me, we wanted to add to it. So the kids came up with this message of, with love, magic, and art, we shall overcome. It's horrible. I mean, it's like 13-year-olds painting this thing, right? But years later, this guy that I admired as a union organizer, his job was to get hired by hotels and organize the workers into unions. So, I mean, he's risking his life doing that work for other people. He said, you talk about a personal relationship with art. And do you remember painting this mural? No, I don't remember that. Do you remember it? No, I don't remember that. And finally, it dawns, the haziness of old age parts, and I can see what mural he's talking about. He goes, when I was a kid, I was in a gang in that schoolyard. And, every night we would drink and smoke and would beat people up, sell drugs. And we would lay on that jungle gym high and wonder why you painted that mural. And it made us realize that what we were doing in a schoolyard wasn't right. So we stopped doing our gang things in the school. And it was one of the things that made me realize I needed to get out of gangs and go do something with my life. So I am a big part of where I am today is because of that mural. And I was just blown away, so humbled, like no one ever told me such a transformative experience as a result of the murals before. I thought, man, if I get one more story like that in my life, I win. Um, so there's that in San Francisco. And then the ones in Hawaii, I wish I could say I have a favorite, but it's really all the ooga booga chicken skin moments that really get me in each one.
Do those Ooga Booga chicken skin moments come during or after while you're making these murals? These
It comes
pieces of art?
during, yeah. So part of the process is getting the kids to turn off their brains, which, all through school, we're taught to use your brain as a learning tool and not your na'au, your pico. So we want to turn this off because really, which is the thing that gets you in trouble is this, right? Makes up stories, beliefs, falsehoods, all kinds of stuff, right? When you turn that off and you listen to your heart and you listen to your na'au, it's like those things are always true to you. So getting them to quiet this so that they can be more in touch with, call it what you will, ancestors, the spirit, God, the universe, the Aina, all of that. And we ask the Aina, what should we paint here? And we thank our ancestors for the inspiration and all that they did so that we could be together at that time. And we see what ideas come and it flows. And so it's often a case of a student saying, I got this idea. And then 5 or 6 other people going, I got that idea too. And it's not something we even discussed. So I don't know how the idea even came up. But to me, it's confirmation when multiple people are getting the same ideas. We've got to I circle those ideas in the notes and focus in on it.
Where do you derive the cultural side of yourself from? Where does that come from?
Well, my father's side is Hawaiian, and so I've had to take effort in order to claim that part of my identity and learn more about it. And I feel it's really urgent here. It's the indigenous people, it's the host culture, and it's endangered. So I do my best to do what I can to keep that going.
Do you encourage people to use their own cultural backgrounds to also perhaps do the same thing? Because it's one of those things that it takes a little bit of, or a lot of research and wanting to connect to that, correct?
I don't know. I look at some families and they've grown up with the stories and the values, and some people are just, they just radiate aloha. It's so awesome. I think I've had to work on that on my own issues, but I think if your passion, your passion will grow as your interest in something grows, right? And so then you start digging around and going down rabbit hole after rabbit hole. That's how it was for me. And it was also that, I came from graffiti, so I was sort of not as inspired by graffiti. I was looking for something else. How can I use my art in the service of others? Um, I grew up with the YMCA and serving kids, so now I'm at a point where that community work can mix with the artwork, and I get to do both at the same time. super awesome. And so
Being
then,
oh, go
sorry,
ahead.
yeah. So going into the culture was like, oh, I'm back at square one. I might be really good at graffiti, but now I'm just very start of the culture, very start of the spiritual. So I've had to work on those pieces. Just like you've had to work on your business side in order to see success in your life.
There is the cultural side. There is the business side. Well, this is kind of the business side. Being at the helm of a nonprofit requires a different skill set. How has your role as an executive director influenced your approach to creating art and vice versa?
I think being an executive director is just steering the ship like the navigator, but the captain is the one saying, okay, this is the mission, this is the vision, right? This is the purpose for this journey. So you've got to have all of those roles. And I think a lot of times you have to be some of each of those roles. Sometimes the navigator, sometimes the captain, sometimes just paddling or holding the sail. So I don't see what I do as an executive director as a direct influence on what I create with the art. I really think it comes down to faith and trusting spirit flowing through the kids. But I do think that none of that's possible without having that other part managed as well.
Art has the potential to drive social change. And you talk about that firsthand, about hearing those stories back about how your art affects somebody personally. How do you see your mural art contributing to broader conversations or initiatives aimed at creating a positive impact in society?
Well, like, how do you say this? On a spiritual level, and I'm going to do the screen share for a little bit. Let's see that it works. Can you guys see these pictures?
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Here. So this is about bringing community together. It's an EO and a pueo with the light. So when we meditate, I have the kids visualize this white light coming down to them, going into their heads. Really, you want to do that anytime you want to protect yourself or just be in a state of aloha. So it's on this mural, there were a football team, a volleyball team, an art class, all from different schools that came out, and they can't all paint necessarily, right? So we just told them, just splash colors on the wall and tag it and whatever else. And then we put the big gray line over it and just filled in the eyes. So trusting what comes is really important. And these are, in Hawaiian culture, these are our highest flying. They're our messengers of heaven. They can see everything. Harry, this is the kind of stuff I used to do, just straight up graffiti, putting my name everywhere. And then I slowly got into some awareness. I got a lot of community organizing experience and social justice battles in the San Francisco Bay Area. So, I started to paint women as more empowered. This is this warrior fighting these demons that are coming out. Then I started to explore a little bit of my Hawaiian culture. This one says Kuleana. Not the best octopus at all, but trying to mix graffiti stuff with a little bit of Hawaiian stuff. I started to get commissions. So here's one from the city of Oakland. This is 1/4 of a huge wall that's gone. I was like the Four Guardians. There's a Chinese community and a Chinese-owned business.
A question while you're showing these. So you were commissioned to do this. Of course, they have a request for you. What was the request on this one, and how much did you have leeway to, of course, make it your own from what they wanted?
Things were simpler than, in a sense of, the overall community wasn't as aware of the importance of connecting murals to their place or of insisting on their culture being represented and pushing the dialogue forward. So this was simply like, oh, just put some culture. I think was the assignment.
Just splash something up on the wall and just
yeah.
But were people surprised when like the one with Kuleana and there's Hawaiian a little bit? Were people surprised by that? Did they see like that? So What was the response from people as they saw that?
I
Would see
think,
these.
yeah, people love murals. I mean, I grew up in a time where there weren't murals everywhere, and so I got handcuffed on well, at least 7 times by cops or got a gun in my face by cops. So I have this healthy distrust of cops. Like, I can't really shoot you when I'm on the top of a ladder. But you had to deal with people that would come up to you and go, "That's ugly what you're doing. I hate it," you know? And now you don't get that anymore. You get a lot of positivity. I think people have embraced public art. They see value in it. This one's in Jared Middle School in Pololo. The
Mm.
kids meditated. They saw this woman with rainbow hair. And we're like, well, let's go back in the meditation and ask if she'll tell us her name. And it was Ke Anui Nui. She's the younger sister of Kane and Kanaloa. So we made her one with the environment, the clouds in her face and the mountains in her chest. But the message was that it's your kuleana to take care of this place afterwards.
You know, there are many aspiring artists and nonprofit leaders that look up to you. What advice would you give to them to, strive to make a more meaningful impact through their art, or through leading a nonprofit organization?
Leading on a nonprofit, oh my God, I wouldn't wish that on my enemies. No, it's just it has so much regulation and rules you got to keep up on.
Right.
It's challenging, but I also think it allows us opportunities to create the things you want to create. You know, a lot of times you'll find grants out there that were written by somebody else, maybe a 1% for art because they're building a new building or something, and they're not aware of what's possible. So it might say, oh, we want to paint about this lawyer, and nobody knows who this lawyer is, who's this person? So a lot of times the call for artists is for something that they want, but this way it was different where we wanted to put forward the voice of our people, you know, the indigenous voice of Hawaii. And using the art in the way that we do with the meditation, it's also being a voice for those without a voice or the land. And really, truly making yourself in service to things greater than yourself. So these Hawaiian focused mele murals are very well received.
Mm. How do you choose your locations for your murals? Are there factors that influence the themes or messages for each specific environment?
Well, coming from graffiti and being like 3 feet tall, I have this Napoleon wall complex. Like I want the biggest walls, And but I do believe that the place calls to us now. I think we're asked to come serve because we often have to like clear the space spiritually. Uh, Land holds memory of traumas that have happened on it. So we often have to call in seers and channelers to clear that, help us remove that negativity so that it can then become a kipuka, like a fountain for creativity and new energy for the children, especially when it's on a campus.
Mm. Art often serves as a form of cultural expression. How do you incorporate cultural influences into your mural work? And I am supposing that it's resonated really well in diverse communities.
Yeah, I think it's so important to have different voices represented in the community. But when I go to a city and I don't see any murals or graffiti, I feel like the government has a heavy hand and they don't encourage open dialogue. But if I go somewhere and there's art everywhere, I know that people value free speech or difference of opinions. And it seems like they probably engage in conversations over those things, which I think is healthy for everyone.
Okay.
Uh,
Let's come back to we'll come back and share some more of these pictures in just a couple of moments here. I want to talk about advocacy for a couple of moments. It serves as a form of cultural expression, I guess. How do you leverage your art to raise awareness for the cause of your nonprofit supports or causes that your nonprofit supports? And in fundraising, that's the kind of the thing where I was looking towards.
oh, you asking about the fundraising?
Mm.
God only knows how the money comes, but it comes. we do a lot of grant writing, so that keeps us busy. And we get a healthy share of it, I would say. So that's good. I think people will support and make donations usually after they've experienced the project and they're paying it forward so that other communities can then have it.
How big is the team?
We're
If you don't mind
small.
me asking.
Yeah, we're small. So at the moment, we're down to 3 on staff, couple freelancers, and then when summer, fall, or spring programs come along, then we swell up like maybe 25, 30 people.
Sorry, I'm slightly distracted only because I all of a sudden looked at the chat and realized there's a bunch of questions. I was like, whoa, I've been so engaged with what you've been showing and stuff. I haven't even looked over. Okay, so for those of you that are watching, I will get to your questions and I appreciate all of them that are popping up in the channel. We'll get to those coming up in a couple of moments. Art education. That's a crucial aspect of community engagement. And I'm guessing that it's something that you would thoroughly enjoy. Is that something that really tugs on the heartstrings in the now?
Yeah, seeing children get something is so exciting. It like never gets old.
So you got, do you, when you're going and you're doing a mural, do you have them physically engage along with you? And what does that sound like? And what is the reactions off of our school keiki as they engage and find this new outlet?
I think children love it. They are in a classroom all day long, every day. So to be able to go outside and do a hands-on, physically demanding project is very exciting to them. To be entrusted with what their voice is also empowering. So I don't think they understand we're asking them for their voice, for their ideas, until they see their idea get put on the wall. Then it's a game changer for them. And they walk around campus with this new like badge of honor, the sense of pride, I did that. That's my idea. That is so awesome to see.
I never thought about this, but as kids, they walk around with that badge of honor, and years later, they're bringing family members to show them. And then the longer that lasts, the more generations of family that are being brought there to take ownership of that, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about sustainability for a little bit. It's increasingly important in various industries. How do you ensure that your mural projects align with environmental, ethical considerations, et cetera?
Well, I wish I could make the paints. I've talked to several paint companies about trying to make it green or greener. House paints are actually pretty good. It's mostly pigments from the earth, so there's not much to worry about there. It's if you're using spray paint, there's a lot of compressed like propellant and also solvent, which evaporates quickly so that the paint will dry quickly. So that's not so good. So we've reduced our dependence on spray cans a lot just by moving over to a lot of house paints or acrylics. Hope I answered the question.
Yeah, you have. Is there anything more that you take into consideration when it comes to the word sustainability with what you do?
Oh,
just want to make sure I'm not missing anything.
Yeah, there's a sustainability and can we replicate this work beyond us? And, a big part of community organizing is a self-determination. So setting up systems that allow communities to rise up in the learning and then take over the teaching of that, passing that torch along. I honestly think that the meditation is the most important thing we're sharing with folks, but it's also the least exciting, right? You're sitting down, closing your eyes and breathing, as opposed to running around and climbing a scaffold and splashing paint on each other. So, I don't know if other artists will take to this and continue it beyond me. It may just come down to it's my Kuleana for now.
Nice. What I'd like to do for the moment is I'd like to strip away a couple of things from our conversation. Usually, when there's an interviewer and a guest, the guest kind of has a tick-tock time clock in the back of their head. And so, what I'd like to do is I'd kind of like to remove that for a couple of moments and ask you to tell me a couple of these chicken skin stories that you have and explain them so that way our audience has an idea of what is chicken skin for you.
Mm. Can I share the screen again then?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go back to this one that you folks are starting to see. This is at Kanyahi Elementary. Maybe I can zoom in. Yeah. So there's a woman, that's Laka, the akua of hula. And there are three hammerhead sharks swimming in the sky, each with a different color scheme. So we took the children down to Waikulua Local, the fish pond down in Kaneohe, and we meditated, and these are the images they got. Hammerhead sharks, and that's specific and unusual. And then this beautiful woman in green and white that had something to do with hula. So we're like, okay, what is this? So I asked Herb Lee, who runs Pacific American Foundation, they own the fish pond. Do you guys have any guardians of this fish pond? He goes, no, but one day we caught little hammerhead sharks in the net, and we were able to get three of them to survive, and we threw them back in the ocean. And I go, well, I can tell you their names now because we got that in the meditation. And so these sharks are like the white one in the middle. She represents the sun. She's the oldest one. The dark one represents the night sky. The one on the right with the rainbow colors represents the rainbow. And they each bring that power or that element to help watch over the fish pond. So they were able to reclaim a story of like spiritual guardians of the area without having it written down, We're reclaiming narratives through the meditation. And
That's
then
amazing. That's crazy.
yeah, and then Laka, like why is Laka showing up? So the sandbar in Kaneohe is called Ahu Olaka.
Yes.
Some say that's for an ali'i who wanted, when he died, he wanted to die there. And there used to be an island of sand with trees on it. The sand got moved to Coconut Island and Kualoa, I think. So it's not quite what it used to be, but I actually think it's named for her from before that ali'i. And it's her altar to her ancestors.
Wow.
Boy, when you said turn off the clock, I really turn off the clock. So
No, that's good. No, that's amazing.
okay, let me check. Maybe I know you'll like this one.
Auntie Lena Allah.
Yeah, Auntie Lena Ala. She wrote our
Kalamahini.
oli.
Okay.
Yeah, she wrote our oli for Mele murals, and we still use it and teach it to the children. So there's still a few schools of kids learning and practicing those oli. I just feel her presence every time they say it because she made it with love. And watching her craft an oli I felt like I had hired the Beatles to write the song. Like how
Yes.
much better could this be, right? She watching her download and channel this stuff and it's flowing through her. It's powerful. So when it came time to paint her, I meditated and I said, just guide my hand and let me paint you. And like I nailed that face on one try. I was like, oh my God. And I was crying. Sometimes it doesn't come out so good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Go one picture down. Go back up to that same picture and go pick one click. No, down.
Down.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's us working on the anti-Allah one. What's on the left side that you couldn't see in the previous photo is that there are children in the clouds. And she always was big on teaching people, right? Up to her final days. So we felt that even in her afterlife, she's still continuing to share knowledge and teach people. So that's what that mural was about.
I had a pleasure of spending some great amounts of time with Auntie Ala, and that is, I'm a chicken skin. That there. One more.
One more. I want to share this one. This is also at Kaneohe Elementary. This wall faces a kukui tree, and we were sitting with children under that tree, meditating to get their ideas. And then one day, one of my apprentices came up and she goes, "Hey, I gotta take you to see this pohaku." So she walks me down to a corner of the campus, and there's this cluster of pohaku. So we meditate. We ask the pohaku, why are you here? What is this place used for? And then we saw this rainbow go in our minds from the rock, which is shaped like the chair, and it went to the rock that's under the kukui nut tree. And I was like, whoa, so you can connect to places? Where can you connect to? The rock's like, where do you want to go? And so that's the experience we had, right? The next day, we're meditating with first graders. These are kids that are just got into first grade. So they're really like kindergarten. And we meditate, and I go, "Hey, did you guys see the whale shark in the meditation?" Little kids are like, "Yeah, we saw a whale shark. But uncle, we saw these rainbow rocks." Like, what are rainbow rocks? Like rainbow colored rocks? No, we saw this rainbow go from one rock to another rock. Holy moly. Okay, we got to paint that. Turns out the site is a place where Hawaiians would teach how to lele, how to like teach your spirit to leave your body and jump and travel. Ride the rainbow up to the mountains, down to the beach, and come back to your body. So it's amazing to think that that school is on a thousands of year old site for education.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. Real quickly, because we're getting a little bit short on time here, I'm going to turn that timer back on. I'm going to go back to the questions over in the chat here. Is there anywhere we can find the MLK mural? Is it online or nearby?
I tried Googling it. I can't find it. I'm going to have to call up my old boss and see if she has photos, or maybe I'm lucky and it's on an old hard drive. It's
Cool.
but ugly, though. You're not missing anything.
Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the different nuances and unique outcomes of such an inquiry, or of an inquiry? What are some different nuances? When somebody makes an inquiry to you, what are some of the different nuances and unique outcomes or things that, I'm hoping I'm interpreting the question correctly. Any thoughts on that one? Shall we skip to the next one?
Yeah, don't understand it.
Okay. If you can be a little bit more specific on that one, that'd be great. Who are some artists, graffiti and otherwise, that have impacted you the most?
I really love the mural masters of Mexico. They had such a strong grip of speaking about, I don't know, call it socialism or whatever, equality for people in their murals. And they affected 2 generations of mural artists in the entire world. So that's Siqueiros, Diego Rivera, those guys. In terms of graffiti, oh my God, there's so many good people. Every city's got a few. Lucky to have met a few. New York obviously was the inspiration for so much of what I did. Comic books when I was a kid, go to the swap meet, show you how old I am. My mom would give me a quarter and I could afford 5 comics.
Oh, wow.
5 used comics.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are some of your thoughts on AI generated art?
I tried it. I think it's not there yet, especially when it's got 20 fingers. But the way they've designed it was to kind of poach off of other artists' styles. So I think it still has to kind of copy what's already been out there. There's always going to be a need for creativity, and the AI is never going to touch that.
The question that we were not sure how to answer, Larry responded back and said, sorry, question was answered when you explained the different stories. So there you go. I'm going to close out the chat. I think we got everything. Oh, how were you bridging the gap between doing illegal graffiti and art? Did you approach the pieces differently and then find commercial success? Good question.
Well, I was in art school thinking that when I finished, I would get art jobs, but then I had to get art jobs during school to pay for it. So my mom and I hustled, we'd save every semester. Yeah, we, without exaggeration, walked down every street in San Francisco that had a string of businesses and walked in and asked each one, could we paint a mural? Could we paint a mural? For a month straight. And then we finally got a job that paid, I don't know, I want to say $250, which wasn't even going to cover the electric bill. But it got us in front of people instead of painting at night. Right. And people walked up and said, hey, I have a business. Hey, I have a home. So we picked up, I think, 3 jobs off of that one time. So we learned to paint slower. Unlike at night, you're painting fast and take your time. And people would bring you like money, gifts. On Haight Street in San Francisco, Haight Ashbury, they give you like a plate of weed cookies. You get all kinds of things.
You really got to watch what you go through with everything. Fine tooth comb. Hey, we're getting close here. I'm going to take you one more question here, and we're going to close things out. Your work is likely taking you to diverse regions. How do you adapt your artistic approach to resonate different cultural contexts? What have you learned from these cross-cultural experiences?
What I've learned is that indigenous peoples are not very different from each other or us Hawaiians, and that using the meditation is very much in alignment with what a lot of other peoples do already. Native Americans, they do that. They offer tobacco and food to their ancestors, kind of like we offer ho'okupu with things to represent long life, So it's about respect first and love. And really, the Hawaiian perspective to me is it's connection in all things, down to single syllables. It's connection with aloha. And wherever we go, if you just seek from that perspective, you can't go wrong.
Final question for you. On this show, we have at times, most of the time, college kids who are just finding out about them and who they are, where they want to go, what they want to do. For those that are interested in your genre of work, do you have advice for them?
Well, in college, I made friends with the campus security, so they would stand guard while I painted the campus at night. So that's a good one.
Our guest today is an internationally recognized mural artist, co-founder, executive director of the Estria Foundation, a nonprofit organization, and he continues to take things like kuleana and what is inside your na'au and what is from your kupuna, and interjecting that with the world around to make people smile for the betterment of not only people, but communities, and to bring people together. Estria Miyashiro, thank you so much for joining us today.
Mahalo nui.
Real quickly here, before we go here on the show, join us for next month's 2 Scoops with Corina Viston, an award-winning producer and luminary in production, post-production, digital concert series, brand strategy, branded series. Corina contributed to 19 Marvel Studio films, from Iron Man 2 to Avengers Endgame, earning accolades like the Gold Clio Award for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Silver Telly for Doctor Strange and Thor Ragnarok. That's going to be Wednesday, March 13th, 12:30 p.m. Make sure that you join us here. Until then, mala mopono aloha hui ho. And on behalf of our guest today, Estria Miyashiro, have a wonderful day. We'll see you later. Aloha.
Aloha.